Okay, good morning all. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to talk to you today about Panther Metals. We're an exploration greenfields explorer. All of our properties are based in Ontario, Canada. We also hold two investments. One is 20% of the UK listed Panther Metals. The other is 36% of ASX listed Panther Metals. I'll go into more detail on those as we go through the talk. This will not be a technical talk. All our technical is in our brochure. Please come and see me. I'm on stand 27 in the hall. Come and grab a brochure, and I'm happy to go through all the technicals on our information with you on a one-to-one basis. Otherwise we can drag on, and to be honest with you, it can get quite in depth quite quickly. But Panther Metals, that ultimately, what's everyone here for? Why are you guys here this morning? Why are you looking at us? And you want one thing, and you're looking for a gem, a bit of information, a micro cap that can effectively make your life easier. Right, we're all here to make money, and ultimately the market's worked against us as a business and against the sector over the last 12 months, but that's why I'm here today. That's what's presenting the opportunity. And timing is everything. And at Panther, we came to the market in 2020, a couple of months before COVID. Then, after COVID was just dissipating, we ran straight into the Ukraine situation, which again has affected the market and the sector dramatically. But this is at a time when this sector has never actually had stronger fundamentals. The drive for net zero is going to continue, it's going to gather pace. But within exploration, within mining, we're going to see a situation of ongoing shortages. We're not seeing the discoveries. The tech industry over the last 20 years has taken a lot of that risk capital out of this sector that I believe we're going to see coming back in. Your timing here is probably absolutely impeccable. We've got those looming deficits. We're seeing also a split between the East and West that's developing on the back of Ukraine. China is having more of an influence in Africa. It's having almost a land grab situation. And this is going to mean the West is seeing deficits and discoveries that are not transforming into real-term deliveries of those commodities that are required. So what are we doing at Panther? Well, you just need to look at our assets and the opportunities there. We're a £3 million market cap company. Our investments are worth £3 million. So everything in terms of our assets, you are getting in this business for free at this time. We've got 3 core assets. Manitou Lakes, as you're looking at the screen on the left-hand side, that's a gold property. This is an area that we've seen Dryden Gold spend $7 million on the exploration assets that border the Manitou Lakes gold assets. We've got historic adits there. We've extended the shear zones, gold-bearing shear zones by 700 metres. It's an interesting area, but I'll come on to that in more detail. Then we look at Abonga. Abonga is a greenstone belt. Greenstone belts are some of the oldest rocks in the world. We've had BHP on Abonga in the past. We've also Dome in the 1970s. Abonga has always lacked one thing, and that's a discovery. Panther made that discovery in the autumn of 2022, and I'll cover that in more detail. We've spoken to a couple of the big majors on Abonga, and it's really going to develop into an area that they will be looking at. But again, come back to me on the technicals. And then we go to Dotted Lake. Dotted Lake's an interesting one. Again, we've got Volition via an investment in Palladium One, made by Glencore within the last couple of weeks. Palladium One have declared a 20-kilometre long nickel zone. Dotted Lake borders that. All the metrics on Dotted Lake actually correspond directly with what's going on along the Palladium 1 belt. And in fact, we've got good relationships with Palladium 1 to the extent that their technical director, Neil Pettigrew, he'll be joining us on site in May. But what do Panther stand for? And our first aim and the fundamental basis of any junior exploration company is the geological portfolio. And that's what we've built up over time. We've vested out a couple of properties. That's given us flexibility within the business unit, because there isn't one single property within that portfolio that we believe doesn't have the potential to deliver that transformation that every junior needs. And to get that transformation, you've got to be able to drill. And to be able to drill is where you get your discoveries. Abonga is 2.5 hours from Thunder Bay. It's an area loved by many, but without that commercial discovery. As I say, we made that discovery in autumn of 2022. I called it a black swan event. What we did, we discovered zinc to a grade topping out at just over 11%. Why is that significant? It's on we've discovered a VMS belt on Abonga. A VMSs are known as the junior company makers. They tend to be high grade, low strip ratios. Now, VMS it's an acronym for volcanic massive sulfides, and they tend to cluster. And the reason that we can declare Abonga a new VMS camp is because we put one drill hole in a separate area on Abonga. That's called survey, and we've confirmed that is also a VMS. You also got Ottertooth on Abonga. That also will be a VMS. We've also discovered flake graphite. That ties in with the EV revolution. We've expanded Abonga to the extent that we do have some interesting engagement. Dotted Lake, we have put a drill hole in Dotted Lake, but it's outside of a known occurrence. Now, I've mentioned Palladium 1. They made a discovery along the Tycho belt that stretches 20 kilometers. And these discoveries have been provided with confirmation of the new area at Dotted Lake and to its east by Glencore's investment in Palladium 1. And as I say, it's interesting. The second part of the positioning of the business is about our capital structure. Every junior explorer requires investment. It's a cash burn model, but at Panther Metals, what's unique to us in London is we've built in the insurance policy of our investments in Australia and our investments in Palladium 1 who are listed in London. We can use those investments to help fund us. At the levels we were at due to the market over the last 12 months, we're not going to be diluting the company where we sit. We've raised 300,000 plus this year already through non-dilutive actions. Those actions will continue. We can fund all the way through to the end of the year where we can realise valuation in our investments to be able to drive the business forward. That's what we will do. We do have other options. We've shrewdly positioned ourselves in Canada to be able to take advantage of the Canadian tax system of flow through. That's always done at a premium. It's available to any explorer that is spending money on the ground in Canada, and we're investigating those avenues. But look, we're constantly monitoring the financial mechanisms available, and we're looking to raise non-dilutive capital. And at this stage, it's looking very positive. But since I took over at Panther Metals, the global economic climate has been challenging. But I remain intensely proud of what we've achieved. The assets that we've got, there isn't one within that portfolio that doesn't offer potential of a discovery. And from an investor's perspective, it is all about timing. It's all about when you bring your capital into the business. The market cannot supply what's coming in this sector. If you're looking for a business that has the genuine potential of discovery, that manages its capital base, that is run by a team that's highly experienced. Our chairman, Nick O'Reilly, he is heavily involved in the Geological Society in the UK. We've built amazing networks and teams in Canada to drive this forward. If you want to see a company whose valuation is such and the upside is not reflected in that business, then come and see me, because trust me, I'm a lot less nervous on the stand as I've been standing here and delivered quite a monotonous, painful tour that doesn't reflect me or doesn't reflect the business. But this is very, very well positioned. Has anyone got any questions on the back?
About. Tell us about the first.
Hi Sarah. So in Canada, the relationship between the Indigenous communities and First Nations is absolutely critical. If you don't build up a relationship, if you don't work with Indigenous people, then you've got nothing. You won't be able to develop your projects, you won't be able to go forward with it. And I was fortunate enough in September of last year, now the First Nations group's called Gold Bay. I don't know if this has got a pointer, it hasn't. So I'm going to cheese off the cameraman here by moving slightly. But where you see the Bonga Greenstone Belt, Gold Bay are First Nations that are to the west, and it's actually sits on Lake Nipigon. Now I was fortunate enough to be invited to the to Gold Bay's powwow in September, which was quite an amazing time. But for any junior explorer or any miner that operates in Canada, you have to build and develop those relationships. And that's exactly what we've done, and that's exactly what we continue to do. ESG is an absolute intrinsic part of everything we do, and everything you should be looking in the businesses that you're invested in. And I would recommend anyone in here to go to a powwow. And I was fortunate enough to get invited back to their meal afterwards with the community. And it's a benefit to this business and to our investors.
I don't want to commandeer your presentation, but you are a bit of an everyman, aren't you, Darren? Because prior to you becoming chief executive, you were a prolific retail investor. And I'm just wondering how many TR1 holdings you've had in your career before you became chief executive of Panther.
Okay, I'll give a bit more background to that. So the way that I come into the sector, I built my business up privately. I used to sit where all you are. All right, and the reason that I invested into the sector was basically that I can see the looming supply deficits coming, and they are coming. Make no mistake, right? There isn't a business out here, there isn't an explorer, as long as they're doing the right work, and the right work's to drill. Mate, you can't do anything. We can do all the correct stuff on surface. You can scratch around. Till you put a drill in there, you don't actually know what's there. Anyone that tells you they do, I would question. But there's supply deficits looming. They're going to run strong, they're going to run harder. And that's why this is the opportune time. I was sat there, and I was TR1 in up to 6 companies at any one time, trying to find my angles. But I become a little bit disillusioned. I was running the businesses, I was making money. I was doing everything right in my private life, but in the public sector, I kept getting smashed to bits. And I decided that I would invest in a business. Within 12 months, they invited me to take over as CEO. I then, within a year, got that listed on the main London markets, run into COVID, run into Ukraine. Doesn't matter, because I haven't smashed our corporate structure to bits to get to where we are. As a business, we drilled 12 holes. On those 12 holes, we had 82 metres of massive and semi-massive sulphide Wishbone, which is on a bonga. Since then, we've drilled further at Wishbone, and we've made the discovery that has been, I call it a black swan event, and I was 100% right. No, everybody's drilled, people have been on, BHP have been on the wider Abonga Greenstone Belt, Dome have in the 70s. None of those guys made a discovery, but they loved the geology. And we hit zinc, grading 6% over 3.5 meters, topped out 11.5%. Why is that significant? The VMS system is massive. It's huge. VMS is the way that they're built is from the seabed, historic seabed, and the fluids run through, the deposits drop out, the commodities drop out. Now, to build up continuous of 82 meters is almost impossible. That would have had to be running for an inordinate amount of time. It's only microbes that are building this thing up, right, in your commodities. But that's so significant, that zinc, because we now know for certain that the fluids carry commodity on Abonga. Nobody knew that before now. And it's Panther that's discovered that. We've drilled 12 holes in total as a business. Dotted Lake, we put one hole in, we hit gold all the way along a 400-meter drill hole. Trouble is, it was in small sections, low grade. But the drilling there was right. Our geological model was spot on. Dotted Lake now has moved on because of what Palladium 1 have done. Of those 12 holes, we've put 4 holes in Wishbone. We've discovered huge, massive and semi-massive sulfide. Our first drilling campaign, no commodity. Second drilling campaign, we come back, put 2 holes in, we've hit the commodity. We know the fluids run rich. We've spoken to BHP, they're the same view of us. Well, what we need to do now is our step-out drilling. It's all we can do. We've got 4 separate lenses there, it's big. We also had another 1 drill hole in survey on Abonga. 1 drill hole. We hit 14 meters of anomalous Z. That's another VMS. We now know for almost certain, but we don't know till we put the drill hole in the ground, Ottertooth is another VMS. To Abonga, in those 5 holes, we've discovered a VMS camp in Canada, 2.5 hours from Thunder Bay. That's a remarkable hit rate in this industry. People underestimate that achievement. We've also hit flake graphite at Awkward. Awkward is and that's on Abonga as well. It's a different type of target, but we will come back to that. So basically, that's a long way of telling you why I was TR1 in many companies. The opportunity's out there, ladies and gentlemen. They're out there amongst all of us. What you've got to do, for me, sitting where you are, you've got to look for companies that are really doing it, not scratching around on the surface. Who's looking to drill? Who's putting in those drill applications? Who really believes in their projects? Because to drill, you need lots of capital. If you're raising lots of capital, and you should be drilling, it should not be going anywhere else other than in the ground, because that's the thing that's going to prove it up. That's the thing that's going to drive your 20, 30, 40 times upside, as we saw with the likes of Greatland Gold. I own 5% of the company. I'm not giving this away for nothing. And I'm especially not giving it away in this market. But I'll tell you what, I love the assets we've got, but not for anything other than the reasons that the work we've done. But come and see me, grab a brochure, give me a shout. Apologies, I'm really nervous. This isn't my natural environment. But I tell you that we're a business that we've suffered in this market like everyone else. Not all companies, you see a share price drop, it isn't always reflective in the work you're doing. And let's face it, I'm happy to also hold the other side of it. It's lovely when our share price is rising during COVID, when everyone's sitting at home on their smartphones, they've all got a few quid in their pocket and it's driving us up. But of course, what goes up has come down on the back of what's going on in Ukraine. But the fundamentals of this industry are stronger than ever for every one of you in here. Keep watching it, keep looking, because maths are maths. Thank you.